everybody. Welcome back to my television review series and my channel. Today we'll be discussing Justified City Primeval Season 1. Just finished watching it. I will be canceling my Hulu after this, run out of stuff on there, so I might jump over to another thing, like another streaming service. But if you're new to my channel, we'll be sticking around, do a lot of movie reviews, television reviews, a lot of music, a lot of different things. So hopefully you can get some value out of it. If not, it is what it is. But you know how we do it. I will give you my overall impressions and grade after reading the logistics of the television series as provided by Google. Once I give my grade, if you have not seen the movie or the television show and would like to, you're going to shut off the video. There will be spoiler alerts. We'll be discussing the plot synopsis, any character development, any cinematographic, just elements that stuck out to me, as long as like the casting and any similar movies or shows and major themes. So, Justified City Primeval is like a reinstatement of Justified, starring Timothy Olyphant, which had, I think upwards of 7 seasons and about 13 episodes apiece. This one was released in 2023. It is a drama. It has 1 season. I just finished, I think the finale actually started like airing 2 days ago, so too soon. I always like to see if the shows get canceled or if they come to their natural ending just with the writing. But I don't think we have any indication if there's going to be more of this. So you can watch it now on Hulu. It says, having left the hollers of Kentucky 15 years ago, Raylan Givens now lives in Miami, a walking anachronism balancing his life as a U.S. Marshal and part-time father of a 15-year-old girl. His hair is grayer, his hat is dirtier, and the road in front of him is suddenly a lot shorter than the road behind. A chance encounter with the desolate Florida highway sends him to Detroit. There he crosses paths with Clement Mansell, a.k.a. the Oklahoma Wild Man, a violent, sociopathic desperado who's already slipped through the fingers of Detroit's finest once and aims to do so again. Mansell's attorney, formidable Motor City native Carolyn Wilder, has every intention of representing her client, even as she finds herself caught between cop and criminal, with her own game afoot as well. These 3 characters set out on a collision course in classic Elmore Leonard fashion to see who makes it out of City Primeval alive. So, the first episode was July 18th. I think the 29th was the finale. 8 episodes, about 45 minutes a pop. 64% liked it on Google, and 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb. What did I think? I thought it was entertaining. Again, my highest rating of all these crime shows that I've reviewed. Justified, I think, got the highest rating with an A. Kind of the novelty kind of wore off. Still like Timothy Olyphant. Some of the characterizations were a little weak. I did not like just the casting or just even the acting of the woman who plays, or the lady who plays his daughter, Willa. Her line presentation just seemed like squeaky, didn't seem like confident in terms of acting. Acting is really just being normal in front of the camera, and so her lines felt forced. There was a woman named Diane who's kind of like Carolyn Wilder's an attorney trying to get to be the judge, and this other chick is trying to be the judge, and this Diane was her name, I believe. Her line delivery wasn't very convincing as well. If I get a decent bad guy in Clement Mansell, I like Raylan Givens with Timothy Olyphant. And so we had Jamal, who played, he was big in the Snowfall series. Jerome Saint, whoever that actor is playing Jamal, kind of a minor character. So overall, decent crime show, a lot of low-light scenes which I did not like, a couple weak characterizations, not as novel as watching the original Justified series, so I'm going to give this one a B+. I did find it entertaining, typical crime show, good guys, bad guys, cops and robbers, with the elements that I just discussed. So if you've not seen the movie or the television series and would like to, there will be spoiler alerts now. The show opens up, you meet Raylan, he's older, he's got a daughter, Willa. They are going to, Willa's getting picked up for punching a girl or breaking someone's nose. And again, I watched the first episode a while, like when it first started, and then just watched the rest of the episodes recently, so kind of forget exactly how it starts. But they're in a courtroom, you meet Carolyn Wilder, who is an attorney defending some client. Raylan had some people had chased him off the road, and he had like punched him or beat him up a little bit, pushing the lines a little bit as a law guy, so he's in court. And so the setting is in Detroit. You get some kind of brief flashback or time jump lapses throughout the show, but nothing severe. It's not a big player to the show. But then you meet very quickly after that. You meet the main bad guys. Clement Mansell, who's definitely the antagonist. He's just an independent criminal. He's dating a woman named Sandy who works at not an arcade. where do you gamble at? The casino, and basically she's setting up Marcus to get robbed by Clement. And so Clement is definitely a gunslinger. Sandy has some fake relationship with an Albanian named Skander. So your major parties, if you have law enforcement, the criminal elements of Clement, as well as the presence of the Albanian gangsters. Those are really your three major parties throughout the show. And Clement is also kind of has a criminal like accomplice, Marcus Sweetie, but really everyone else doesn't really like Clement and they're just kind of scared of him. And so the first major thing with Clement is he is, they're setting up this mark on Skender, this Albanian, and Sandy literally gets into a car with him, and literally he just gets kind of like cut off. There's a judge who gets his car blown up in the first episode. They think it's just some ragtag local people that have a grudge against him, and so literally Clement just gets cut off from. He's going to go tail this Albanian to go rob him, but he gets literally just get cut off, and so this judge and his legal aid are in the car, and he's just kind of like riding his tail or pisses off Clement to some extent, and then so he basically just gets in a car chase with him, knocks him, hits the car, T-bones the car, kills the judge, lets the girl kind of run away for a little bit, then kills and I think burns her, and he gets a little book from the judge that he kills. And so in this book, they just have all of these different names, and I guess at the beginning it's not really sure what it is. But regardless, then you meet Marcus Sweetie, who is an older black man. He has, I think he's got like a homosexual partner, but it's not sexual in any way. But he just has like some other aide there that says he's been a partner with Marcus for 7 years, and it's not really clear if it's sexual or for business. But it doesn't play a major role. Just the characters in the show. But he runs a little bar that he has, and so you get some Carolyn Wilders representing Clement Manzel. So basically Clement has some dirt on Marcus. Basically you get a flashback scene to like 2018 or 2017, and Clement busts into this weed dealer's house. There's 4 or 5 people sitting there, including Sweetie. His last name is like Sweets or Sweet, but his nickname's Sweetie throughout the show. And so basically Marcus had worked with Clement to set up everybody else. Clement busts in there with his own henchmen, but just turns around and shoots them both, and then shoots all the people on the couches besides Sweetie, and then they rob the place. And so then you get back to the present time, and basically what happened is one of the people in that shooting survived and was able to put eyewitness on Clement, but Clement was able to get off on some technicality or a move by the lawyer. And so Clement has dirt on Marcus, where Marcus doesn't really want to work with Clement, but Clement has so much dirt on him, he doesn't really have much of a choice. And so that's kind of the relationship there. Raylan and the rest of you have Wendell Robinson, who's kind of like his main writing partner. You have Maureen Downey, and they're under, I don't even really get like a main person. I can justify the first one with Raylan Givens, whoever that guy is. I like that guy in the first one. But regardless, then you get, moving on, the Albanians come into play. Clement and Sandy are going to set up the Albanian again. And at first it was confusing to me because they're hitting licks, they're stealing stuff for like $5, $10, $25, $30,000, and they're living in this extremely lavish like penthouse. So that didn't really, it resolves at the end, but at the beginning I'm just sitting there like the economics of the criminality are not adding up. If they have this huge place and they're like surprised about $20,000. But that does resolve a little bit later, but as a viewer I thought it could have been tighter as to how they were in this penthouse to begin with. But regardless, they set up the Albanian Skender, and he takes him to this place. Basically, Skender wants to ask Sandy to marry him, and Sandy says Clement's her brother, and she has to get his approval. And so they meet at a bar. All of the law enforcement are staking it out. They're able to get away from the law enforcement. They go back to Skender's apartment or place, and he shows them just in this like safe room, a couple guns in a safe and a little bit of money. And so Clement is not happy with what he's receiving, and so he basically crushes Skender's leg. It's just like a safe room with this big metal steel door, and so he closes the door on his leg. And so now you get the full presence of the Albanians. Their head guy is Toma, there's 4 or 5, 6, 7 of them as minor characters. But now Raylan knows that they're going to want revenge, and so he kind of like talks to them, and Toma's like, the only justice that we can do is street justice. And so Clement asks Sandy to dump the gun that he shot the judge and his paralegal with. She doesn't. She gets followed. She kind of gets scared out, doesn't throw the gun, and takes it and hides it at Sweetie's bar. Sweetie kind of finds it and relocates it because they come back. The police find a warrant. Again, they're tailing Sandy, so they come back, tear up the bar, all the place, and they don't find the gun, just the ones that are registered to Marcus. And Marcus had just put it in his pants and held it, as collateral against Clement. And so now what Clement and Sandy start doing is they realize that the judge's book is people that have taken bribes or done something that's not above the table, and so they just start picking off marks to steal from. So they rob one guy, they extort him for $12,000, and then Clement goes back there and steals his painting that's on a wall, and Clement's the real kind of wild goose. He breaks into his house at night and steals a painting, and so then the law enforcement catches on to that, so they want to set up, a decoy or whatever. And so they have this Diane chick, who again, the other black lady that wasn't the main Carolyn Weidel character, just the delivery of her lines was not convincing. So they basically have her set him up like, I'll pay you off to have my name removed from this book. Meet me in this park at this time. At the same time, Marcus is plotting to get out from underneath Clement's grasp at all. He recruits. Basically, the guy that owned the painting recruited a guy named Lionel, or something. I think it's Lionel or something. But basically recruits him and says, go find. And they don't know what kind of criminal Clement is. And he's like, go get my painting back and I'll pay you. And this Lionel guy was, struggling for money. And so Marcus and Lionel have a meeting, and Marcus is like, this other chick's bringing you $30,000. Here's $6,000 for my cut from this first robbery. You can have the rest of the $30,000 if you just kill Clement and get rid of him and get him off my back. And so Lionel agrees to do that. And then they're going to meet in the park. The Diane character is the bait. Clement walks up to her and is like, you got to show me the money first. Right as Lionel's going up there to stab him, the police converge in on there, so he literally walks right past him. Clement is able to see him, and they search Clement. He has nothing on him. They have to release him and let him go. And so Raylan is really upset that they do not get to book him then. Willa she's probably done half the episodes. After about the first 3 episodes, she goes to Florida to stay with her mom. And so there's very few. There's a couple brief references to the original Justified, but certainly watchable as just an independent thing. But there are some plot continuity things from the first series. But if you haven't seen it, it's certainly still watchable. But regardless, again, the Albanians start pulling. They're also looking for Sandy and Clement. They find Sammy's roommate, start pulling out of her teeth. The police show up. One of the guys starts to run, and he gets killed by one of these minor police office characters. And so one of the Albanians dies pretty early on. And then after the failed setup with the Diane character, basically they're still trying to find the gun to definitively put it on Clement, but it is a big mishap for them not to get the arrest. And so Clement goes back. He basically, what does he do now? I don't know. Again, I'm going to miss some of the things. I binged it the past 2 days. And so, I'm not really sure. But there's a couple more political meetings where Carolyn Wilder wants to be the judge. Her and Raylan engage in a sexual relationship, but they still have to keep their their professional boundaries, meaning Carolyn just representing Clement, her relationship with Clement deteriorates later. And so he kind of I'm going to miss some things, but he basically breaks into her house one night and pulls a gun on her, and Carolyn's like, I don't represent you anymore, and he's like, I can come back anytime I want and kill you. And so Toma and the rest of the Albanians are still trying to hunt both Sandy and Clement, and so how does that resolve? Basically, they're all starting to have this meeting where Sandy gets scared from Clement and tries to run when he's out and about, and so she goes to the airport. At the airport, Raylan catches up with Sandy and is able to set up this fake meeting at the exact same time that because Carolyn got assaulted by Clement, she goes to the Albanians to set up Clement as well. And so Raylan and Clement meet at this Radisson hotel downtown, and then the Albanians show up and take both of their weapons and basically throw Clement in just a soundproof safe room. They don't kill him, they just throw him away. The Toma, the head Albanian guy, throws away the murder weapon of the original judge and the paralegal. So kind of what happens there is because Sandy doesn't get rid of the gun, Clement still has the gun. Clement gives the gun to somebody in law enforcement to frame. Marcus gives it to somebody in law enforcement. Raylan gives it to one of these, Maureen Downey, and he stays with her like family for a little bit. But then the next day, Maureen Downey is pinning somebody else on the murder. So you learn pretty directly there that she is also in the book and is under kind of the control of Clement as well, and tries to pin it on somebody who didn't do it. And so this other minor character with another police officer gives the gun back to Raylan and is like, somehow you still have to get his prints on it. And so then they throw Clement in the safe room, lock him up there, and leave. And so then you get like another flashback scene where like Raylan is leaving Carolyn's house, and he says, oh shit, and then it says like a 2 hours before. And so basically, Skender, the guy who got injured, he wants to make his bones or catch a body, and so he wants to punish Clement himself. And so he's got his leg was completely shattered, and so he like hobbles on crutches and tries to go into the safe room. He gets disarmed by Clement from behind, and then Skender gets beaten to death. And Clement then goes to the Albanian headquarters and slaughters all of the Albanians, like literally all of them. And so I guess he leaves one old guy alive. But he kills all the Albanians, and now he's going to head to Carolyn's house to kill her. And so when he gets there, Raylan is sitting there waiting for him. And so he's a very brash criminal, but he's also very lighthearted in his dialogue as well. So he cracks a beer for him and Raylan, and he goes to pull something else out, and it's his music. But I guess even before this, so once Clement had gotten caught at the park, he had seen that the Lionel dude walk past him. He goes back to Sweetie's bar and restaurant and sees them two talking, so he clearly knows what's going on. So he immediately whacks the Lionel dude and then makes Marcus play his music, like Clement's music, and then kills him as well. And so that's when it's either Marcus's romantic partner or just business partner. That's when that guy is able to turn in the gun to the police before the Marine character tries to pin it on somebody else. So major development I missed, but regardless, Raylan at this point, Clement's going to pull out his music, and Raylan shoots him real fast, and so Clement is now deceased. And so then you get like a 2-month fast forward. And they're having like some martial meeting, getting to the resolution of the series. They're having some martial meetings, and Raylan resigns. And so the father-daughter relationship again is dad spending too much time at work. And so Willa comes back into the picture in like the last episode, and they're down in Florida, back in Miami, just sailing and fishing. And so then the absolute resolution to the movie or to the show, which definitely kept it open-ended for another season, was you have Boyd Crowder from there's one reference to like shooting a guy on a rooftop, which was definitely from the original Justified, and then the actual resolution of the series is heavily reliant on the original Justified. But basically Boyd Crowder, whatever the actor that is, I enjoy him, especially in that character. But he's getting prisoner transport, and one of the female guards he's in relationship with, and so they're able to escape from being transported as a prisoner and go back on the loose. And so the absolute resolution to the show is Raylan with his daughter, just talking about how they're done, how he's retired from being a marshal, and then he gets I don't know if they call it BOLO or APB or whatever, the law enforcement notification to say that there's a prisoner that's escaped, and it's Boyd Crowder. leaving the tension on the resolution of the series. It's like, is Raylan going to go back to this criminal that he has a long history with and try to chase him down as well? So that's really the resolution. I'm sure I missed some minor developments and whatnot. Carolyn Wider gets the judge's seat. I don't really forget what happens to Sandy. But regardless, overall kind of entertaining. It probably even would have been a B if it wasn't bolstered by the original Justified. Pretty typical crime show. A lot of low lights, couple off-putting characters. Plot moved along well, but nothing super unique. So overall, B+, I recommend it. If you're at this point, you've either watched it or you know most of the plot developments now. So thank you for watching my review of Justified City Primeval Season 1, and I'll see you on the next one.